So let's say I have finished my masterpiece and I am ready to put it on the web for the world to see it. What I am going to do is go to the File menu and I want to save for web. We can choose Save As and choose file formats there, or we are not going to get the control and flexibility that we will get by choosing File, Save for Web. This opens up its own little window because there is all kinds of power for saving for the web. First, we have the original image. Actually, I want to zoom out here, so I am going to use my keyboard shortcuts, Spacebar, Control-Alt, or Spacebar, Command-Option on the Mac. Click outside, I could see everything. One of the problems I see is that my image size is pretty wide, 1458 pixels wide by 972. That's pretty colossal for an image on the web. So I actually want to do is maybe take this down to 50%, and that's a little bit more manageable for the web. And for quality here, I want to take this to bicubic sharper. So if you are going to rest something up, if you have to make something bigger by scaling it up, which is typically not something that you would do in this dialog box, if you had to, you want to use bicubic smoother. And if you are shrinking an image, you want to use bicubic sharper. If you forget, just leave it on. It's not the end of the world, but bicubic sharp, we will get you there. Little bit smoother. And I am going to press a spacebar command or spacebar control to zoom back in there, as we could see our image. And if we click on Originals, the original image, if we click on Optimized, we can see the same image, but using the compression method specified over here on the right. Also below the image, we get all kinds of info about the image. So if we look at our original, for example, we could see it's 1.35 MB, and this is the original. Click on Optimized, we can see that this is a GIF, and it's a 180K, and it would take about 34 seconds on 56K modem to download. And we can change that by clicking Missile Thing here. It's always a good idea, if you are going to put this on the web, social network, social website, that you are aware of your slowest customers. But these days, most people have much faster modems in a dialog 56K modem. So let's just say 512 for our purposes here. It nearly takes 5 seconds as a GIF. It's also some more information here about the GIF, but GIFs are really good for areas of flat color. If we have a flat vector graphic that we are going to save, GIF, because there is a color table here, which is how many colors we want in the image. Now we can choose our file formats up here. So right now I am using a GIF. There is 256 colors, but I could break this down to just 16 colors. And you could see how there is little. What they call detouring is by using this little dot. Try to simulate other colors. I can also make click one of these colors. I don't need this red, for example. Click it to select it, and I could pull a trash can to throw it away in. A particular tone gets thrown away, but for most images with continuous tone on a smooth, gradual changes in color, photos and alike, we don't want to use GIF. We want to use JPEG if we can help it. So I will change this to JPEG, and then we get a much better image quality here, and it looks much better. So again, if you are looking for flat art, GIF is better typically. If you are looking for something like photorealism, you will probably want a JPEG image. Now we can adjust the quality here, make it to 100%, and as we take this down the lower, let's get so round there about 50%. We always see too much of a problem until we zoom in. I can just click on the zoom tool here in the little mini toolbar and click here, and we could actually start to see a little bit of the problems. But it sure would be nice if you could see the original and the optimized right next to each other, so you could see how much this image is being degraded. And we can by clicking on the 2-up panel here. We could see the original on the top. I actually zoomed too much. I will hold the Alt-Option key and click that and zoom out a little bit. What about the hand tool? And we have the original over the top, and we see what is the degraded compress JPEG version will look like. So that way we know what you are getting into. You know what the image compression is going to do to your image and see if you can tolerate it or not. So this actually looks fairly decent. We are losing some details here and a few other places, but that looks pretty good. I think I'm going to bump this up to about 65, just for good measure here. And we don't have the color table for GIF images because GIFs don't allow you to create a color table and then throw away color selectively like JPEGs do. Another popular format now is what they call PNG. This is popular on the iPhone for graphics. On the web, it's becoming more and more popular. Just a lot of power here. There is 2 different types of PNG. There is a PNG 8, which is basically the equivalent of a GIF that you could see we have little color table again. And there is also PNG 24, which is kind of like smooth color, like a JPEG. Now, one of the big advantages of the PNG, actually the PNG 24 specifically, over the JPEG, is that JPEG cannot have transparency. If you just have like a simple shape on a transparent background in Photoshop, then if you save it as a JPEG, it would force you to create a matte behind it. That's what a matte color watch is. And so, if we want to save that transparency, we will need to use a GIF, or a Pink 8, which creates a hard edge of current, or we could choose PNG 24. You can actually create soft faded edges, so we have a gradual going from opaque pixels to transparent pixel. We have a feathered edge, essentially with a PNG 24 file. Now the magic here is that when you are done, you can click Save at the bottom, and once you save out this image, you can go back to Photoshop and your original image is not compressed. Your original images didn't even shrink down at all. So this is basically just saving up copy of the web and not actually changing the size of your image. So if you are working on a super big proof and you want to send some examples of it, the Save for Web dialog box is the best way to not only shrink your image down, the size for the web, but to see which file format works best and what is the final size going to be.